Fireplaces are the heart of a home. They're primal, they're emotional, and they're practical. And every family room has a very unique story to tell. On today's episode, we're going to be talking all about the center fireplace at altitude adjustment and the isokern unit that we're going to be using. Let's get going. All right, guys, I have Carrie Phillips here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. This is a really cool day, and I want to talk to you guys kind of about the process of making the selection for the fireplace for this house. Some of the things that the homeowner really wanted, some of the ways they wanted this space to feel, and why we landed on this isokern unit, because there are a lot of great units on the market, and we had to make a decision. So, Carrie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So tell me, what is your role at isokern?
I am the Northwest Regional Manager, so I handle 7 of the most Northwest states of the United States. And I work with architects and builders as well as dealers and distributors, getting our product out there into the market and making people's homes look beautiful.
A lot of that Northwest is where I imagine you're seeing more fireplaces. I would imagine they're not as popular in a place like Scottsdale, Arizona, but you still get them.
You'd be surprised. We do have regional managers covering the entire United States. However, I always say that I'm not a good salesperson. I just have a lot of opportunity because I have the most beautiful territory, have a lot of opportunity for ski areas and, Montana, Colorado, Utah here, so there's a lot of opportunity where people want to really upscale their homes into having these features within their rooms that they choose.
Yeah, and this is absolutely the case for this particular home. So we've chosen to use the Magnum 72. Tell me a little bit about that fireplace.
Well, that fireplace is not for the weak, for sure. It's a very large fireplace. It's going to be 6 feet wide and approximately about 40 inches when it's finished tall. So that is a huge volume of space to be able to either burn wood or to burn gas.
Yep.
And so it gives you that versatility of burning whatever type of fuel you were looking for. But the whole point of it is it's going to be the focal point of the room because it has a very grand opening.
Yeah, it's not that common that we see these open box fireplaces with that big of an opening. 6 feet by 40 inches. I mean, it's going to make a statement when you walk in that space.
It sure does. It's really interesting too because I always say I do the ugly part of the fireplaces. What I sell you never see. You guys make it all so beautiful, but it really does start with the base, just like the base of a home. So you start with a fireplace that can handle different types of fuel burning in it, that can handle the size and still be UL listed and tested, and has a very easy way of being installed.
Yeah, this homeowner really loves the idea of burning wood in their home, and I think that's a very common thing when we're looking at these houses that are built in ski resort areas, even resorts themselves. It's not uncommon to walk into a place like Deer Valley and see these big open box fireplaces that are burning wood. It's just a different feel, it's a different smell, it's a different experience, and so that was really important to these homeowners. But we also have a whole bunch of challenges ahead of us because this house sits at a really high altitude. We're at a really tall elevation. We've got some challenges with the HOA and all kinds of different things that we're dealing with on this project. So I want to kind of talk through some of those details with you. So if there are other people that are maybe building at a high elevation somewhere, they can kind of know what is the benefit to using this particular model or isokern in general, and kind of more information that they could look into for their particular project. So how do we handle, or what changes when we're talking about putting this type of fireplace in a home that's at that elevation?
So I always start off by trying for us to just go back to when we were younger and how do you build a fire? You need oxygen to build a fire, right? And you need it to combust and you need it to draft. And so part of getting that done is you've got to have adequate oxygen. And so when you start going up into this area where we're 8,000 feet, your oxygen becomes a little bit leaner or thinner. And so you don't have that opportunity. In addition to that, because a lot of these desires are to have these large large open statement pieces. Now you've opened up the volume of their fireplace. And so now you have a couple flues that you have to consider. So there's a lot of area in that box that has to be considered to be able to combust and go up. So without having that air and that combustion being able to happen, you're not going to get a good draft. So it's very, very important when we deal with these types of fireplaces in these elements that we consider how are we going to get this fireplace to combust and to draft properly.
Yeah, and you guys do your own calculations based on where the home is located and what particular unit the homeowner or builder is deciding to use. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. So it will be completely different if you were to take a fireplace that you take one side of it off. Our fireplaces are designed to be able to combust and go to the back of the fireplace and to draft very, very well. However, in these different elements, we have to consider some help with that. And that's where having mechanical drafting is something that you have to consider in the build.
Yep.
And how you're going to establish getting that onto the termination of the flue so that it can get that extra draft.
Yeah, on this particular home, so the HOA that this house is being built in is pretty restrictive. And it's not uncommon for these gated golf course resort communities here in Utah and probably in other places across the country as well. But the HOA kind of dictates what the house can look like, how things have to vent out of the roof, or how things have to look when they're finished. So that's one of the things that we really focused on with this particular house. The architect originally had designed this house with 5 chimneys across the top of it because part of the restrictions that we have is there is 0 venting out of the roof for anything, whether that be a dryer vent, a bath fan, plumbing stacks, everything has to come out hidden within a chimney. So this particular house happens to have a lot of chimneys on it, and the architect had designed a chimney cap that was extremely restrictive. And as we were talking early on, making decisions for this particular model of fireplace, that was one of the first things that really stood out to you was the chimney cap design, and that what was on the plans wasn't going to work. And even with what's on the plans, it wouldn't work with a direct vent gas fireplace.
Correct.
It looks beautiful and it's just not that functional. So that's one of the things that we started really early on having conversations about is how do we change that fireplace chimney cap to make it more breathable, to make it accessible if we ever needed to get in there for any reason, and also just to make sure that the fireplace is able to pull in the air that it needs and also exhaust the air that it needs to. So I know you guys have some restrictions, and those are, per fireplace or per, I'm sure, location and all kinds of things, but that's a really important key when you're making these decisions with the fireplace. You have to pay attention to the venting and how you're letting the fireplace breathe.
That's it's a really big deal. The functionality of a fireplace is based on physics, which I'm not going to pretend to know anything about physics, but I know enough to know that if you starve it of air, you're not going to have fire, you're not going to have combustion, therefore you're not going to have that draft. And we got to remember that part of that draft and keeping that draft rolling is to keep that flue at a certain temperature, because you don't want any condensations and you want that continuous flow of draft going up there. So those things are very important, and you really said the right word, functionality.
Yeah.
We always go to design, but I talk to architects every week about how we're going to do the different terminations to try to keep with the aesthetics that they're looking for, but also the functionality in the termination of the fireplace.
Yeah, we don't want to limit the performance of the fireplace, and we also don't want to install a fireplace that the homeowners are going to have issues with down the line. So really paying attention to those things. And we do, it is a constant conversation with architects and engineers because they are extremely artistic and they design these homes based on an aesthetic and an artistic style. But I always say the best architects are ones who have had hands-on construction experience because they understand not only the artistic style of the home, but they also understand how it functions, how it works, how things need to be set up or built in order to perform properly. So that's just one of the first things that you and I started talking about that we really had to make a change to make sure that we weren't decreasing the performance of this particular unit or putting us in any situation where we would have issues down the line or a fireplace that just didn't work in general. So I think that was a great conversation to have. And we really started, that kind of led us into the mechanical operation of this fireplace. So I know you guys have some new things that we're using on altitude adjustment. And these aren't necessarily new to isokern in general. They've been using these on some other units. But we're going to be using some new kind of features on this particular fireplace. So talk to me about the mechanical ventilation. How does this work? How many CFM is this fireplace? And tell me a little bit about this new feature that we're going to be using on the project.
So I'm super excited. What we did as Earth Core Isokern is we developed our new fan system called the Exventiso system. And that consists of 3 different models. But the 2 things we really tried to do that was what we kept hearing back from homeowners, from builders, and from callbacks of dealers was that the fans run for these types of fireplaces run too loud, and they're very cumbersome to install and to service. So we did 2 things in redesigning a type of fan that would kind of take care of those 2 bullet points. And we have a complete Molex connectors on all of our fans. So therefore, that broadens how many people are able to install our fans. So it allows your schedule to get open. We also reduced the velocity. So now our velocity is down to about 800 versus the fan in the industry is about 1100, 1200. So that what that means to you is that's about a 30 decibel, a living room or an office type of environment. So that's going to create a nice place for the homeowner to sit and relax in their nice, beautiful home with their focal point. And in addition to that, we made it to where it was very easy to service should there be an issue. So you just disconnect the box and send it back to us and you get a new box. So therefore you're not having to send 2 people doing any type of troubleshooting. And so those were things that were kind of nice. What we're going to do out here at this home is we're going to do our Meridian. Our Meridian's unique because it is a self-modulating system. And what that means, it's going to read the pressure within the room and it will self-modulate itself depending on how many people are in the room, if they have large openings in the room, so on and so forth. And that's going to be a really nice effect to where a homeowner at this level doesn't have to worry about readjusting their fan based on their pressure in the room.
Yeah, I think it's common that these houses are used to entertain. So having these big stacking sliders, in our case, they're big pocketing stacking sliders. So if they have all these doors open, we're entertaining, we're hosting a party, it's just one less thing that the homeowner has to think about. So I really am excited about that. It'll be a really fun addition to this project, but also just the things that you guys have taken into account thinking about the noise volume of these particular fireplaces. I would say that's one of the most common complaints I hear from homeowners after the fact is that the fireplaces are just loud. And unfortunately, when you have not only a fireplace or firebox that's this large, but also one that's drawing this much air and it's, you know, it's big. They're going to be a little louder than a gas direct vent. And I like that you guys have kind of thought about that and tried to come up with innovative new ways to account for that and try and bring that noise level down when we're not hosting a bunch of people or, you know, when it's just the 2 of them sitting in the family room enjoying a TV show. They're not having to worry about the volume of all of that. So I think that's a really cool thing that Isokern's done. And another thing, now that we're talking about like specialty features of Isokern directly, is the material that you guys use to build these fireplaces.
So the material we use is actually founded out of Denmark, and it's exclusive to us here in the United States for the past over 35 years. And what that is an Icelandic pumice. And what that means to everybody is that that is coming out of a mountain that's been erupting and been around for 7,000 years. And so this pumice is super pure and close to the polar circle, so it doesn't have any inert type of ingredients in it. And what that does, that allows it to become very refractory, meaning it's not going to absorb heat, it's going to bring heat out into the room. And then in addition to that, it makes our product a little bit lighter than other type of product on the market. One of the things you find, sometimes you'll find people making fireplaces maybe out of CMU block or those types of things. And if you think about it with cement, when you're working with cement and you're heating it to a level and you're cooling it to a level, you know as well as I do what happens to that. It's going to start cracking.
Yep.
Right. So this is an isonic pumice that is true. We get a lifetime warranty on it, and it comes in a modular pieces. So the other thing that's great about it is it makes it very easy on a job site to be able to drop it on the pallet and be able to move those pieces around and get around other types of trades and still be able to get your fireplace built in less time than you could a traditional masonry fireplace.
Yeah, the masonry fireplaces, and it's not uncommon to see them built out of CMU block and things like that. They're just big, they're bulky, they're heavy, and I really love the direction you guys have gone with this volcanic pumice. It's just a cool, different type of material. The lightweight of it not only helps to get it around, but also, honestly, a side benefit of that is we're not putting as much pressure on the installers. It's not as much effort. There's less possibility for them to get hurt or injured while they're on the job site. So anytime we can think about using materials that help kind of lighten their load, that's a really good thing to do. And I've had a lot of experience with masonry fireplaces in the past, both with Isokern and other brands. And I can tell you that is a huge benefit to what you guys offer, is how the particular firebox is made. And in this case, on altitude adjustment, this home's a rambler home with a basement. So this fireplace itself, even though it's built out of this volcanic pumice, it's still heavy. It's a giant fireplace. Yeah. This is a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight. I always tell people when I say we're lighter, it's like the product is still heavy. You know, it's still gonna. You have to consider, you know, the load that it's going to bear. You know, without the mortar, without the brick, and so those types of things. So there's things to consider there. I mean, we don't have that issue in this build, but it's definitely something we always have to talk about if it's going on a multiple level, a subfloor, so on and so forth. You know, they're not too heavy to go on the subfloors. It's just a conversation that's nice to have.
Yeah, when we were in our design and planning phases with the architect and engineer on this project, we knew we would be using a masonry fireplace in this family room. So we've actually poured foundation wall structure underneath the fireplace itself. So this will sit directly on top of a foundation wall structure that is setting on top of a footing in the lower level. We've integrated those foundation walls into the basement floor plan to try and hide them and really make it a seamless integration, but we're not at all concerned about the weight because it's now a solid structure from the firebox all the way down to the footing. In some cases, we have done masonry fireplace units on a framed floor in houses before, and just like Carrie said, it's possible. In many cases, we are consulting early on with the engineer, though, to make sure that we're either doubling up floor joists, doubling up floor trusses, or including some type of steel beams to help carry that load, just because they are heavy. So if this is something you're thinking about integrating into a build, make sure that you're working with the architect and engineer to account for that weight ahead of time. There's nothing worse than getting to the end and finding out your homeowner wants to use something like this and the weight of it is just causing deflection in the floor or issues. So just make sure you take that into account. And I really, really like the documentation that you guys provide. And that's really easy for us to give to architects and engineers and say, hey, here's the firebox we're using, here's the dimensions. Isokern supplies us with all the information we need, and we can just pass that directly on. And then they're able to take it from there and integrate a structure into the home that makes sure that we're safe and the homeowners have a really nice solid surface. So another thing that we have to make decisions on as we're selecting these fireboxes is the interior finish. And what I mean by that is like the fire brick that's inside of the finished fireplace. And we've seen everything from one end of the spectrum to the other. We recently built a home where the homeowner reclaimed old bricks off of a church in Paris, and we used those inside, all the way through to things like we're using for altitude adjustment, which is a basalt. So talk to me a little bit about Isokern's standard interior fire brick options, or what Isokern offers, or which direction you guys tell people to go when they're trying to source the finished material, what they're going to see when the fireplace is done.
So I love this part because as I got integrated into this industry, I love that Isokern offers fire brick. And we offer it in several different colors, and we even offer a soapstone, which is a true soapstone. It's gorgeous,
beautiful.
absolutely gorgeous, in all different type of sizes, whether it's the soap, the split, or the full size. The idea behind the Isokern is that you do need to line it with fire brick that's approved to go into these types of boxes, just so that it manages the heat and whatnot. And then from there, and you would just put it in, a regular mason could do it.
Yeah.
So you could do a herringbone pattern or a running bond pattern, whatever you want to do, and you have each individual brick going in. Or in some of our displays at our corporate office, we have some diamond shapes and stuff like
that's
that.
fun.
So there's all sorts of things you can do, and it's really going to be determinant of your mason and his talent or her talent.
Yep.
You know, and so we offer all the brick with our fireboxes, and it's just really kind of up to the design of what the homeowner's looking for.
Yeah, I think that makes it really great that you guys have those options, and it's not something that you have to send someone outside of the company to find. You guys do offer those, and it gives the designer a lot of variety to choose from, because that's usually our most common challenge, is having the designer find a selection that works for him or her based on the design of the house. So that is really helpful.
Yeah, I send boxes of displays out to designers all the time, because you really can't tell on a video or on a screen. So it's really nice having the homeowner actually decide, this is what it's going to look like, this is what I like, or the designer.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about new construction, but can you integrate an Isokern masonry unit into a remodel?
Yeah, you could do, our product is very versatile in a lot of different applications, whether it be commercial, residential, high residential, or remodel. Our very first box that we produced was our standard size, and that is a narrower box. And so that box being narrow kind of helps with some old construction.
Yep.
So you can get it in there, and with our really low level of clearance of about 1.5 inches, makes it really easy to be able to put something of this type of feature into a room. And we have, smaller sizes than a 72.
Yep.
So it fits really well within its environment and looks proportionately correct. And we have those available. We have over 30 different sizes available. All UL listed and tested. So that also gives you that UL listed and tested, which you can't get with a site-built masonry.
Very true. Very true. And now the last thing I want to ask you about, because warranty is a huge issue in construction. Our clients are always asking us, what is the warranty with this particular product? Or I want to use this. Is there a warranty with it? What does the warranty for Isokern look like?
So the warranty for Isokern is lifetime on the firebox. And I think that that's tried and true, because we have the original component of this product was actual masonry fire chimney. And there's miles and miles of it, just tried and true for years and years and years, longer than 35 years here in the United States. And it tells you the longevity and the ability for it to be so refractory but still be long lasting. So we're able to offer a lifetime warranty on our fireboxes.
I think that's amazing. And it's, again, just a testament to Isokern and the amount of effort that you guys have put into providing a good quality product. A product that provides a wide range of design choices, both for homeowners and designers. And you guys put a lot of effort into having these conversations with architects and engineers, and really educating people from a design perspective of how these can be used and how to kind of build the home around them. And I just think it's a really amazing thing that you guys are doing, and paying attention to your client and your market, and just focusing on providing a better product.
Well, that's something that I'm really proud of EarthCore about, is that we are actually developing systems. So one thing that I learned is people will say, oh, we'll put the fireplace in, but then the drafting doesn't get thought of, or the aesthetic determination, or the fuel source. And so EarthCore has really made itself the go-to for those solutions, and saying, okay, we can offer you a system solution for what you're envisioning. And so that really makes things a lot easier on people like yourselves and architects to know that they can get all the answers and everything works together.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Carrie, is there anything else you want people to know about Isokern, or where can they go to find more information if they want to use one of these units in their next build or remodel?
Well, we have a lot of information on our website, which is www.earthcore.com. And we have brochures and whatnot on there. We also have WDGs for architects. But the biggest thing is just to reach out to our corporate office and they'll get you in touch with whoever's in their region, like myself. I talk to homeowners and builders and architects every week, every day. And it's just more of educating ourselves and helping each other that we learn the best practices. And I think that's the best way is just to ask the question, and we can find a solution for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I could not be more excited. The rendering photos of this family room with this fireplace included in it are just breathtaking. And it's a computer generated rendering. So I'm just on the edge of my seat waiting till the moment that we can actually get this thing built and installed. And I just think it's going to be one of those pieces that anytime guests come into the home, it's going to just take their breath away. And I could not be more excited about that.
Well, let me know when it's time to get on site because I love to get my feet dirty. So.
We'd love to have you. You guys, you can get online and check out all the different types of styles and sizes that Isokern has to offer. Again, it's that www.earthcore.com. So get on and check that out. Stay tuned because I have a feeling this fireplace is going to be one that we're going to be talking about for a long time to come, and I just can't wait to see it in person. So thank you guys so much for watching today. Get online, check out Isokern, and check out more of our videos at Altitude Adjustment on the Build Show original series, and we'll see you guys next time on the Build Show.